Durham, North Carolina was the most progressive and best black Wall Street we had in America. That's why you had all the black major insurance companies, mortgage companies, and banks and all was in Durham, North Carolina. Durham, North Carolina was the black Wall Street.
Tulsa race riot, and it wasn't really a race riot because the people who rioted were the whites, not the Africans. The Africans defended their territory. They defended their stores and their businesses and their families, but they were destroyed by the whites who were envious of the economic power base that they had developed. And so you'll find that the disturbance ended when the sheriff of Tulsa commandeered a plane and had the pilot fly over the black community and drop sticks of dynamite. So Tulsa became the first city in the world that was bombed from the air.
It was also a way to destroy the ability for a black competition, because essentially the world knew what was happening in the United States to black people, and they were going to give deference to black businesses in Europe even, because France was ready to do business with Tulsa, Oklahoma. England was ready to do business with Tulsa, Oklahoma, except there's certain parts in Parliament that did not want that. Canada was ready to do business. South America was ready to do business with all of Africa. We were ready to essentially undermine what those cotton plantations had built up in the form of commerce for the United States. And they had to make sure that that was destroyed.
There was a group from Tulsa, an R&B group from Tulsa, the Gap Band, had a song called "You Dropped the Bomb on Me, Baby." It's about the Tulsa riot. Gap Band, GAP. GAP are the initials for the streets Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, which was the hub of Black Tulsa Business District.
Get into some of the conversations or some of the resources that you need. So I wanted to make sure that when we got into this part of our conversation, we went into specifically what is getting ready to shoot out this pipeline, and more importantly, why does the January 2025 National Resiliency Strategy matter? Why am I about to read it now? And if you're listening, then you're listening, but if you're not, I'll repeat it one last time because I know we just started recording. The things that we discussed last year in terms of how the procurement cycle works, looking at the months of, September and October, those are the real ending of the fiscal year for the federal government in August. You're looking at that quarter or those 3 months, and this is where a lot of our RFPs start being released, right? They open and they close for 30 to 45 days. And by now you would have developed a white paper. By now you would have had that. So you'll see grants coming out, and what typically happens is they're only for 2 or 3 weeks, and you'll see them come from corporations. You're going to see them come from local and municipal governments because they need this in order to apply. Well, with the federal funding cuts that we don't know is all there, it was important for the administration at the start of this year to put out and make sure that we as a people understood how to be resilient. And you hear me talk about that word, but, Dr. Carter, he gave some really great announcements, and because we're recording, I'm going to ask him to do it again at the end. But one of the things that he talked about was that my role was to bring in preparedness planning, which I'm going to go back to some of the beginning of why this matters for what we're getting ready to walk into. And when I started off saying, don't look at the inflation and all the numbers right now. Don't worry about the Epstein stuff. Don't go too far into politics. Look at how much money right now is pouring into the United States from foreign investors, and ask yourself a fundamental question, and it's what I'm going to ask, and I'm going to spend the day on, is asking yourself, where are they putting it? And if you can't ask yourself that fundamental question, then I promise you, log off right now. Don't even listen any further. But if I can't answer that question for you right now, then by all means, send us a message. Send me a message. Get it through to me that you didn't understand. Because here's the most important thing. I don't want those who come on and listen to misunderstand. There was people who worked in the critical infrastructure and space across the United States that already saw all of the economic rewards and disruptions that are coming. Sometimes their jobs were to create what we call economic or like financial analysis. Some folks have worked in that in the local, but there are people that are working on it on a data analytics side that basically take all the numbers that are happening and we make predictions. Those predictions we use so that we can create better models, we can add to past experiences, we can add to mitigation, which is basically what do you do in the moment, right? We're not just talking about crisis, but we're talking about innovation. We're talking about how you think outside the box. So we're always looking at it. And when the Biden administration took over, keep this in mind, it was during the height of COVID. This is why we talked about COVID a couple weeks ago. We're going to have to stay with some of those lessons because that public health study during that time period of 2020 and 2022 taught us several major things. Number one is that we had a real discriminatory problem here in the United States. But that wasn't on our part. That was what Trump uses the word woke, but in essence, what it really was a reckoning where we were actually dealing with the issue and not just dealing with the symptoms. We were dealing with the root cause. I didn't say we had fixed it. I didn't say we were perfect at it, but there were individuals who were dealing with the root cause of things like discrimination and this concept of, poverty in the black and brown communities. And you see it in our safety programs, like in places in Baltimore or Atlanta, or you saw them coming online, a lot of them in Illinois. You saw them align, a lot of them, which you can categorize as Democratic Governors Association, which is where I'm going to start today in this conversation. So if you can, I want you to make sure you subscribe and make sure you get on board with understanding what the Democratic Governors Association democraticgovernors.org, but make sure you know who those governors are. I mean, just do some light research on them. You don't have to get all into their business, but it is important to know there's about 26 Democratic governors. And the reason I'm pointing that statistic out is because you have, right now as we speak, a situation in Texas, which I know some of those legislators down there, and they're good people. They're just trying to protect the community, and they're hiding out in Illinois right now, being threatened to be taken to jail. This is happening sort of in real time. And the reason why I'm pointing this out to Black Wall Street is because the next part of what I sit as, and you heard Dr. Carter say earlier, is that I sit as preparedness planning. My job, I have a specific role in this conversation for the American people in the private sector. So I want everybody, if you get a chance, to go there and just get familiar with some of the governors there. Try to find a governor that's close to your state, but just kind of be familiar with a Democratic governor because it might be the difference maker if you have to be evacuated for some of the things that I have to make sure we're prepared to handle. And so when I was going through the Democratic governors list, I just went ahead and pulled it up so that I could just talk about maybe one specific person, and his name was Westmore. He was the governor of Maryland. If you haven't got a chance to look him up, he's an African-American man. He's the alpha, so, I mean, he would be great if he was a sigma, but he hasn't really reached that yet, so I messed with him a little bit, but he's a really good guy that understands what we are doing right now in the black culture and the black movement economic agenda, but specifically as a society, where are we going? And I think that if you haven't got a chance to see some of the work he got behind in Baltimore with Mayor Brandon Scott, if you haven't got a chance to really see how he turned things there, it's going to be difficult to really follow exactly what we should be doing in the private sector here at Black Wall Street and what the control regeneration model is still allowing and pulling to this next generation. Because I'm being very careful with how I bring in new information, but I do have a slew of people who need to talk to all of us across this nation, and it's going to take us working together. And as a leader who is in the community, it has to have these conversations on strategy and solutions and making sure we're not presenting the wrong tools to deal with a problem that requires more intelligence or requires compassion. These conversations in governance, hear what I said, governance, that's why we are looking at the governors. And when I talk about one of the documents that came out in January 2025 from the Biden administration, this was during the period in which we knew Trump was coming into office, and then we also knew that there would be a transition of leadership and management on the governance federal level. We discussed it amongst ourselves and said, hey, listen, we all need to start taking some responsibility in the private sector for certain work. And I'm going to read some of that work out for you, because that work is where your funding opportunities are going to lie. I hope everybody just catch what I said, because I know it was a lot. I set it up for a whole lot. But when we get about grants, I told you before, you got to start focusing on states. So the reason why I want you to focus on the governors is because they control the state, and that state controls the funding, and you need to know where that funding is going and what their ideology is, so you can tap into what they already have on their desk, which is the National Resiliency Plan. They have a national plan that's already in place, and I'm going to read some of the pillars before we get off the line today, so you can be familiar with what you're looking for and why. But Governor Westmore is across the aisle for me. We have a governor's race going on, so if you hear me gone or hoarse some of the time during my campaign, during some of our talks, it's going to be because I would have been outside trying to organize outside. So I'm sorry about that. But here's a couple of the things that I wanted to make sure we cover today about Governor Westmore. Number one, he is the finance chair of the Democratic Governors Association. It's important what I just said. He sits as the finance chair for the Democratic Governors Association. The other thing, he's a combat veteran, small business owner, Rhodes Scholar, former CEO of one of the largest anti-poverty organizations. And Governor Moore, he loves his wife. I've met him, and he truly is about something that most people will say they are, but he's shown that he doesn't mind making the sacrifice and getting rid of the things so that he can become what the people need. And I like that. I like that attitude, and he's always strong. And every time I've sat down and listened to him or talked with him, he was very direct about what his intentions were for the community and his role. And whether you're still kind of paying attention to the headlines or you're now focusing on what all of these investments mean to your community or to your state, it's just take a moment to figure out which governor you can you align with, because there's going to be multiple opportunities for your business in these states, in these Democratic states. So one of the things that I wanted to cover today is why or where you could find this White House, which was what we developed, what's called the National Resiliency Strategy. Now, this particular strategy came as a result of what Biden kind of let us know at the time. What Biden said at the time, he said, we're writing the next chapter in American history, a story of progress and resiliency. When world leaders are asking to define America, I define it in one word. And his word that he used was possibility. Now, whether or not you like Biden or whether or not you think he's old, I'm not going to get into that. What I will get into is that he knew to put this national resiliency strategy into place as a vision for the nation. And this came out in January 2025. So he knew what was getting ready to transpire. But he didn't, the team he had that was still sitting there protecting the community, we all were still working together because we were not prepared. We did not know what was going to be the Trump economic shakeup that we were about to endure. So here's what we put together here that I want to share. One of the things that we said here was that there needed to be a strategic approach to build the attributes of the resilient nation. And I'm not going to go into everything, but here's where they talked about it. It said leadership from local to national level and across all pillars have to intentionally participate, and watch this, in building capabilities that support resilience. That was on page 5. The reason I'm pointing that out, because we talked about capabilities in our executive summary. We talked about building and making sure we could describe what we did, even if it's just us going around from door to door to talk to our neighbors or talk to our members and really share part of our own testimony to get them to understand how to recover, how to be a better person. That's what we did. That was our capabilities. So when we were discussing this, and I'm going to send this to Dr. Carter here, because I think it's important for us all to have this document right now. We talked about the resilience pillars. We were looking specifically at what it meant to keep our resilience and make sure that we understood that whatever it was we did, what are the pillars for our governance. And so we outlined 4 pillars that dealt with our governance, our social and community, our economics, and our infrastructure. You guys can probably guess which one I was on. Right, the economics and the critical infrastructure. Those were the areas that I maintained and wanted to make sure we had a voice in the room for. And in there, one of the things that we discussed is that we would be able to articulate, and here we are, articulate what the U.S. vision was that helped us identify opportunities and also kept us evolving so that we didn't go back to the status quo where nobody cared or nobody wanted to deal with the reckoning, hear me, with our generational lifestyle and the things that we went through. So what we did was that we said, okay, we would present pillars that give us a high level, and it will allow for aspirational frameworks so that people like me could talk about it. And also, we would be sure that we put in all levels of government as we take action to build resilience for our collective communities and for the systems that we knew were going to be under attack. And we knew this at the time. We knew that this moment, these days were coming, and that we needed to remind, there needed to be folks that taught how to maintain, and we had to take those individuals serious. So one of the pillars that I wanted to pull out, because this is Black Wall Street, I'm not going to go into governance, and I'm not going to go into social and community systems, although I really would like to. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to touch on the economic system, because we are Black Wall Street. And being Black Wall Street, one of the things that we learned was that our digital divide, how we looked at the internet, how we looked at technology, how we dealt with AI, or how we dealt with things that had to deal with the digitalization of our world, we've sort of not been putting a lot of attention into. And while there's a lot of our HBCUs that have done amazing jobs getting our youth to understand this, we ourselves have not been taking those steps to actually really get engaged so that we could understand why we're building these data centers and these AI and these robots and ChatGPT and all of these technologies are coming out, and we ourselves are not just are being educated, but we're not really being led in the right way because people are not discussing the strategy. And so that's what I wanted to take a moment to just kind of talk about today, is that what was the strategy that we had and we were putting in place, and what what was the White House report for our Biden that came from that Biden administration regarding how we were going to become resilient? And part of the pieces I put in there we discussed was that you had to have pillars. So as you can see, Black Wall Street has its pillars. Dr. Carter has set those pillars. That's a good governance. We have our community, but there are pillars that help keep us running. Well, one of the pillars that I contribute to that is really something that we all need to take a little bit of information on is the pillar that deals with our economic systems, because that's what Black Wall Street is. And so when I took on the economic side, my focus was to continue creating the economic plans and strategies and investments that kind of drive the action to continue to broaden and be able to take advantage of some of the funding that's getting ready to come on both the international and in the digitalization of our communities as we speak right now. And I know I'm talking a whole lot right now, but I really am going to continue because it's important that we understand why and what plans are in place. So there were some opportunities that we said we would do. Number one, we would establish strong partnerships between the economic development agencies, business associations, workforces, financial institutions, and small business development centers that give that support. So right now, there's in these democratic cities, there are a bunch of people like me that have established these systems. And the design, I'm going to try to make it plain. The reason why they've been sitting there is so that they can prove their effectiveness so that they can get the funding of the state, okay? And I know this is a lot, but this is building capabilities today. I've talked a lot about process. I've talked a lot about politics and policies, but I'm going specifically today about capabilities. And the capabilities that you have to have in determining what funding sources you're going to go after starts now. It starts right now. And everything that you put on those executive summaries, you now need to go back and redo and wait for funding to come through a certain state. Now, you're going to say, Nate, what does that even mean? I don't even understand what that is. So that's why we talked about this same pillar, we went to the second point, which is making sure you do preparedness planning through risk assessments. Now, what do I mean? I'm not saying that because it's the name of my company. I'm saying it because that's what the job I have. That is including workforce, cyber, supply chain risk to enable, watch this, the private sector to rapidly recover and resume operations after a disruptive event. Now, I said a lot today, and I'm gonna hold it there for just right now, because preparedness planning is designed for you so that you know what to do after a disruptive event. And every time you see these disruptive events that are occurring, this is what you're watching, but you're not following the procurement track that is following it. You understand? So like if you were in Texas, then you would know Texas has their ERCOT, which is ERCOT. I know because I'm going after that as we speak. If you look at that emergency electricity center, this is ERCOT, what you'll see is that there are tons of procurement opportunities and loans that are closing as we speak. They're closing because they were only open for several weeks, and they didn't tell anybody. But if you look at it, where there is a disruptive event, there is also grant funding, okay? So if you can begin to look at what's happening in the market and say, oh, well, yes, the job inflation numbers are down, but the record of investment is coming up, you are actually looking at a disruptive event, but you're seeing the recovery at the same time, okay? And you have to sort of look at it that way. So the reason why this particular industry exists, it exists because you have to have what we call a continuity of operation, which is if something happens to me or something happens to you or something happens to the leader of your nonprofit or the leader of your for-profit or the leader of your family, what is it that you're going to do? What is contingent on you maintaining your livelihood? We call that resilience of the systems. and infrastructure. That's what it is. And it relies on both the private sector, businesses that operate, as well as it has to work with the public sector as well. But that comes when there's coordination of community groups and other areas that actually deal with what is called the supply and demand of labor. What am I saying? That means workforce. That's what I said, workforce. And the Democratic governors, they know this. They're looking on this same playbook. They're operating from this same playbook for the next procurement cycle. So that's the reason why I spent so much time really getting into this conversation, is because it is the disruptive events that are occurring. And I could go down and I could bore you to death on the rest of that, but I'd rather not, because there's a lot of folks out there that still are trying to understand, how do I jump into this money, Nathan? What websites are we supposed to go to? And most of those I got to just keep giving to you as they come up. But it is important that you start looking at your cryptocurrency and where money is moving, because whether you have an economic disruption right now in your community, the prices that are going up will have another form of currency sooner or later, okay? And that is the difference between, when you're talking about mediums of exchanges. And I know I'm talking a whole lot here, but it was important that I got this particular point out, because if you don't remember anything else, as black people, we've done this before. One of the best that did it was General Colin Powell. And when General Colin Powell was dealing with contracts with the State Department and military, he was one of the best at it. And I was with my kids in Chicago, and I'm going to close with the same thing I gave them about General Colin Powell, because he was not just a hero, but he was an objective man. And an objective man, was very even-tempered. He made decisions based on what he had in front of him. And he operated on 13 rules. And in Chicago, one of the things people ask me, what are you doing in Chicago? Why are you doing this? Because we're trying to develop a workforce. I've been talking about this for a while, but you got to do it. You actually have to do the work. You can't just say, I'm going to do it. You actually have to do it. And that's what we're doing in Chicago. And so that workforce there, I give them the Secretary Powell's rules, because just like we're learning, they're learning from us as well. Our youth are learning from us. So I figured that was actually more of the parents in the room had never heard it. And so when you think about our National Resiliency Plan, think about how we've already done this before with General Colin Powell in the setting that we are in now. And here's some rules that he gave us, and I'm just going to give you just the 13, because I think it's important to just get it on recording. It's never as bad as you think. It will look better in the morning. Second, he said, get mad, then get over it. Third, avoiding your ego so close to your position that when your position falls, your ego goes with it. 4, it can be done. 5, be careful what you choose. You may get it. 6, don't let adverse facts stand in the way of a good decision. And I say that to a lot of my leaders out there, my local ones. I think that's a very good rule that you might want to think about having or adopting, because you'll get discouraged. People will tell you no very quickly, but don't let that stop your ask. That's foolish. Number 7, you can't make someone else's decisions. You shouldn't let someone else make yours. Number 8, check the small things. Number 9, share credit. Now, that's something I know we got a problem with, but I'm going to be quiet right there, because I might get in trouble if I start talking. Number 10, remain calm. Be kind. Number 11, have a vision. Be demanding. Number 12, don't take counsel of your fears or naysayers. And this is my favorite, 13. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. That means have a good attitude. Have a good attitude. And with that, I'm going to just leave it right there. When you look at what's going on with this money, and Beasley's probably on the line, and if he isn't, I'll make sure we are scheduling something. But the money is moving right now. And right now it's moving to cryptocurrency, and we need to be aware of that, because he's about to open up this retirement market that's at $9 trillion. And that's going to change all of our pensions, 401ks, Social Security checks, and a whole lot of other stuff. So I just want to leave it there. And Dr. Carter, I'm going to go ahead and stop it right there.
Oh, all right, brother. Well, wow, that was a great deal of information, and so I'm going to open it up for those of you who may have questions, and please ask questions because your question that's in your heart may be the same as others. I want to get some interaction here. All right, so are there any questions for Brother Dailey?
Hi, Dr. Carter and Mr. Dailey. This is Dr. Little calling in, and I want to tap into that pillar where you were talking about the economic component of the pillar. You mentioned partnerships. Partnering with agencies? What would be a key agency that we should be looking to form a partnership with?
That's a great question. And there's two answers to that, okay? And I want everybody to hear me because that question is, that's the difference between when you're writing your MOUs for your grants and you're saying these are going to be my SMEs or these are going to be the people that I depend on, to get the job done. This is the difference between hiring your staff and building that capability and not. Because your partner, that agency, is going to know that number one question of your capability. So I thank you, Dr. Little, for asking that question because that means that I didn't talk too much today. But in terms of the agencies, I would say look at your category of the type of service you're offering. When you develop your partnership, you may be a better networker. So it may not be you making a partnership with the bank. You may need to be in a partnership with a business association, like a licensed clinical social worker association, or you may need to be a part of something like the Baptist Association, or you may need to join, the charities. You're going to have to join an association, right? But then there are some people who are good with people, or they're good with making sure people get to places or they get the work done. And they may need to be looking at partnerships with workforce development organizations, right? Workforce development organizations, they give you, they're not like trade associations. They really give you certifications. I would say make a partnership with both of them if you're looking to really put a good plan together that's work. But don't stretch yourself too thin because you still have financial institutions and then small development centers that support a lot of that well-paying, good, resilient community development work. So if I had to pinpoint an organization, I would tell you find the organization and association that best represents you on the workforce side and on your professional development side. I would say really focus on that. If you're going to invest in the association that's going to help you get certifications and make a strategic partnership with them. Because they're going to be the ones that give you the ropes and give you information and give you the experience so you don't have – it's like opening up your own McDonald's but never eating at McDonald's. You want to go find or put yourself in room with other McDonald's owners at some point, right? You want to do that. And so for most people, what they don't do is they don't look at their business as a franchise. And so their challenge with dealing with the private sector, and this is a great question, guys, and I hope everyone's listening because your business is an industry. I don't care if you do hair, you are a franchise. Now, maybe you don't have a label with someone else's name on it, but you're Black Wall Street. We originate labels. We don't take them on. I mean, that's what we are here. So you have to label it with your stuff. And that's why I say that sharing credit from General Colin Powell was really important for us because without sharing that credit, we don't have a way to label us better than Target, better than Walmart, better than some of these prices that are just going to be inflating a product that is no good for you anyway. So, they're mounted, as far as I'm concerned, you can keep them bags of chips, Doritos, at $15 because Lord knows I can't be eating that no more. I got high blood pressure. I'm getting the gut. I can't do that. I got children to raise. So you can keep that vice double, you know, and that's what I'm talking about. I hope that makes sense. But that's the truth.
No, that made perfect sense. Okay.
I needed to get some organic chips anyway.
Right. Right. We got to watch our health. All right. Any other questions? Absolutely. Come on, family. It's a lot of you on here, so don't be quiet. This is for your development. Are there any questions?
Well, if they don't have any questions, I have another one.
Okay.
You mentioned working in alliance with those governors who are Democratic, but what if you're in a state where, you know, in Texas where we have a problem?
Oh, yes. I was thinking about you when I said it.
And with someone who has issues with political stuff, how would you recommend navigating that system to getting
it's going to be real
what
simple.
We need?
It's going to be real simple, and this is going to be something that I know is groundbreaking, but it's not that hard. You got to start. You're going to have to look to expand how you do business. You got to start. The Democrats there, the Texas lawmakers, they're working with Governor Pritzker. They've made a strategic partnership and alliance with a Democratic state. You see what I'm saying? So you want to start, even if you're in a place that you have that, don't worry about the timing of it all. Just start to build your relationships. You're going to have to find a Democratic governor and start to really build a relationship, because don't think that Governor Holcomb and Governor Newsom and Governor Pritzker are not paying attention to what's going on in Texas. They're paying very much close, and so is every other Democratic governor. So you're going to have to say, okay, what's close to me? I think Kansas is probably close to you. And, of course, you got. I think you have Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double-check that. I think Arizona. Nope, I don't think you have Arizona. New Mexico.
New Mexico is right
New
next.
Mexico. Mm-hmm. New Mexico. So you gotta kind of start thinking outside the box, and I'm saying that because a lot of folks are not really even paying attention to what's happening on that governor level, but I am, and I'm actively making sure that there is conversations about our national interests as black people, as black folks. Because I'm sorry, I just don't hear people discussing it right now. And while I want to get into a lot of the conversations that people want me to have, when I see 322,000 African American women lose their jobs in the span of 3 months, 6 months, it is alarming. It is alarming. You can't just fire that person and think that I'm going to forget, because I'm not. But it is something to say about what do we do? Do you sit back once you have a disruptive event and wait for the inevitable to hit, or do you get ahead of the foreclosure crisis, get ahead of the entrepreneurship and if you have to open up a business in another state, do it. Just get a virtual office. I mean, it's not that hard. Okay, it's not hard. Just do a foreign entity file. It's not hard. So do it now before that window closes. So that's what I would say to that. I hope I said that well.
During the COVID, if you guys remember, well, actually before COVID, but during COVID, the spike in African American women establishing businesses went up, and usually it's a crisis. Something has to happen to force us to do a dynamic shift. And really, it's really showing us where we ought to be anyway. where we ought to be anyway in terms of entrepreneurship and enterprise. And so, sure, it's one thing to put a lot of our eggs in the political basket, but just look at the history of Black Wall Street and how it came about. It wasn't because when our ancestors came up on the Trail of Tears into the direction of Oklahoma Territory that they had this in mind. They were basically, the 1830 Native American or Indian Removal Act. And some of our ancestors were slaves to those Native Americans. When they got to the territory, that's when the opportunities came. A lot of Europeans, a lot of white folks came after our ancestors arrived in that territory. They didn't precede that. There were no white folk in Oklahoma, in that area. What you know is Texas was New Spain. The Louisiana Purchase, the French folks, So crisis causes us to, and I see this president, this fella in the White House, I really don't see him as a president. I just see him as an old spoiled brat. But he's not presidential. This in itself is a crisis. If you don't see where we are right now as a crisis, so now how do we respond? How do we respond? And we respond by filling a need. There are so many different needs. Brother Dailey just said, what you're doing is, you may not be classified as a franchise, but it is an industry. So you're filling a need. And that's how you, and that's just my little spin on it. But any other questions? There's too many people on here. Go ahead, Brother David.
No, I'm so glad you said that, Dr. Carter. And before we get off the call, because I want to take at least one more question if we got one out there. I do want to put a word in Black Wall Street's mind that they need to be aware of. That came out July 30th, and I pulled it up and I forgot to mention this, but I do want to take a question before we do that. We might go a little over, so sorry if we do, guys. I hope I don't interrupt anything.
No, you're fine. We missed you for 2 weeks, so this is makeup. I'm going to have some of our leaders that I see on here do announcements in the various states. But are there any more questions for Brother Dailey? Any questions? Okay, I'm not going to call your name out. I'm not going to embarrass y'all, but
no, it's all good. So that actually gets me to something I'll just go in and right into. This article that I'm reading comes from a place called the AmericaFirstPolicy.com. Okay, I'm reading this because we've been talking about money and where money is going, and I want everyone to understand why economic disruption, whether it occurs through inflation or whether it occurs where you wake up one day and your bank accounts are frozen because there is a cyber glitch for whatever reason. I want to make sure that you realize what I'm saying here in this word. It's called debanked. It's when political bias, and this is what they're saying, bias trump financial judgment. This has 3 basic points. I'm going to read them to you, and then I'm going to try to wrap it up quickly. Debanking refers to the practice of politically motivated federal regulators pressuring banks to end relationships with businesses they find ideologically objectionable. That's a big word there, so I'm going to say it again. Debanking refers to the practice of politically motivated federal regulators pressuring banks to end relationships with businesses they find ideologically objectionable. Okay. The second thing is debanked businesses suffer severe financial impact because they are unable to access financial services. And then last, Congress should consider laws that require banking regulation to be based on financial principles rather than subjective criteria and political judgment. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out, and if you can go to this website and pull this research report, it's called Economy and Trade. It's the America First Policy, so that you can understand what they are talking about when it comes to money. When it comes to money, Black Wall Street, hear me, they are looking to start problems in banks next. That's their next move. Okay? And just consider a couple solutions that I've been looking at. Beasley and I have been talking about it. I'm not going to get into it, but it does involve some things we've already discussed about cryptocurrency and digital wallets. But right now, they are now looking at it, and that just came out on July 30th, 2025. And just keep that in the back of your mind because I forgot to mention that. But think about economic disruption when you think about the word debanking, because they're going to try to spin that. And I'm trying to get ahead of it with our people now so you don't get confused with what they're saying. So we'll talk about it later. Thank you, Dr. Carter.
Oh, you're welcome, brother. And so we're going to govern ourselves accordingly. Get that one more time, Brother Dailey, that website.
So it's going to be America First Policy. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, it's going to be America First Policy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
America First Policy, and then just put in there debanked. It's their new article on debanking. Okay, it's what they're getting ready to try to do and what they're using for works that are cited. Pull that whole thing. We all need to know what that says. We need to be aware. If you're serious about business, you need to know what that is.
Now, if you guys notice, the authoritarianism is real. Authoritarianism is real in this country. And a lot of people in powerful positions have been salivating for this day because, they regret those days of being able to colonize and to rape our women and do things to our communities that others have fought to stop. So he serves as a door to go backwards to a Nebuchadnezzar-type spirit. And one of the things he did was go after the law firm, which didn't stick. None of what he tried stuck. So basically, when you're the devil and you have demonic tendencies, you're going to throw on the wall and see what sticks, because you already know that there's going to be people who are going to fight back against you. This is not a time for us to be lackadaisical, complacent, or laissez-faire, just to sit back and watch and see if anybody in our community is going to fight. If nothing more, fight because God put fight in you. Fight because you got a family. Fight because you have children. If you don't fight, then in God's eyes, you're selfish. You're self-centered. You're just going to lay down and take it. No, we will not do that. So they tried it with the law firm. They're going after the financial institution. Hey, wait, let me go back up. They went after the university. Okay, the establishment of education. I hope y'all can hear me. I don't know if y'all can hear me or not because I'm not looking at the screen. But they tried it on so many different levels to curve back gains, as it were, that were made by our fathers. Not anybody under 70. I don't give you no credit for any of this. Any gains made, civil rights or voting rights. If you're under 70, 75, you was a kid. So I don't give you credit. I give credit to the majority of them are dead. They left a legacy. So we need to work our way in that direction. And so we can't sit back, I'm in my 50s, 60s, I'm retired now, I can rest. No, you cannot rest. In fact, that's the time that you really get up and give back. And you'll really discover who you are and what you're made of. when you fight back. We need to fight, people. Okay? We can't just sit back and just take it like, this is how it is. No. But Democrats, we keep doing in the sphere of Democrat, Republican. No. It's righteous, unrighteous, holy, evil, right, wrong. It's not Democrat, Republican. You got some right here, right in California. You got some of the so-called most liberal white Democrats, but they're the most racist, redlining individuals you ever want to meet. I do not hold up Nancy Pelosi in high esteem because she herself has knocked down some legislation that could have helped black women and black children, especially in the when it comes to CPS and foster systems. Okay? She's a beautiful lady. I love her. But no, you don't just get a pass because you're a Democrat. So we got to get out of this Democrat-Republican and get to the nitty-gritty. What is right? What is wrong? What is holy? What is unholy? What is evil? What is divine? And so it's time to fight. And so see yourselves as blessed, because not many are my counterparts in these other so-called black organizations and leaders and things. They don't have a Nathan Dailey to come in and give us free information and show us the way with regards to navigating this complex system of ours. But know this, our ancestors fought more with less than we have. They fought more powerful, more impactful. What they did made it possible for us to do what we're doing. Don't ever take that for granted. Okay? So it's not that I don't respect people that are older than I am, but no. If you're over 85, you're going to get my time and my attention and respect if you fight, if you laid the groundwork for us, you see. So keep that in mind. And so after the law firms, he went after them and said they represent anybody that go against him, what you're witnessing is the mask coming off. The mask coming off of America. You're witnessing the fall of that Anglo authoritarian dictator type spirit. And it's proven because when you have someone like the fellow over in Russia, Putin, and who's an authoritarian leader, they used to be buddy. He stood in Russia and said, I believe Putin over my DNI. But now, Putin is looking at him like, old man, no respect for him, still killing innocent babies in Ukraine. They implode on themselves is what Dr. Carter is trying to show you here today. When the enemy is the enemy of the babes and the suckling, our enemies become each other's enemy, and they cancel themselves out. Now, that's not to give you a break. You still have to fight. You still have to build. And I have no respect for you if you do not put something down for somebody else where you do not benefit. That's what your life is about. It's not about you getting a job and just paying your bills. You need to leave a legacy, do something for other people without looking for anything in return. That's how you combat this evil nature. Okay. Now, we're going to go through it for a little while, but mark my word, as soon as you hear my voice here today, you're going to start seeing senators and state senators and elected officials all over the country stroke, heart attack, plane crash, car crash in the coming weeks. And they're going to pile up. Okay? Then you're going to start seeing these people who support this system that's taking away things from the poor. They're going to start to just be in so much pain and anguish. They're going to be praying for death, but death won't show up to them in time because they're going to have to endure the strife and the pain. These are coming in the coming days and coming weeks. Mark my word, it's being recorded. Now, this is not Dr. Carter talking. This is God talking. And this is his response. Sort of like when God let that water, when the children was running and the soldiers was after them, and what did he do? He closed, what was that, the Red River? He closed it down on them soldiers. these are times when those of us who truly believe in God begin to see the supernatural move of God's hand. And this is his response. He always got a response for Satan. Trust me when I tell you. All right. Any more questions for Brother Dailey? Boy, we thank you, Brother Dailey. You have blessed our heart today, and we are forever grateful. I want to call on Dr. Little. I understand over the weekend she has added some beautiful people to her council. If you don't mind, Dr. Little, letting the family know who they are. Is Dr. Little still on?
Sure. Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
We added Mr. Edward Peterson as the state social media rep to the team. Super excited. He brings marketing experience, web design experience, and I've actually done business with him over 25 plus years. So he's a credible individual, highly ethical, spiritual led, and he's been working with me here on a youth initiative as well, where we're engaging young entrepreneurs through Stage 1 in Action and with Dr. G. He's just phenomenal, and we also brought aboard Miss C.C. Moreland here on board and the council as is it special initiative, state special initiative coordinator.
Initiative.
Strategic, yes. She's the strategic person that's going to be working closely with Sister Rahima with the event of the Trail of Tears tour. So she's going to be the event planner, working collaboratively across all the states with the event planning for the Trail of Tears tour. And then we have L.T. Williams and Glenda Holman, who will serve on the council as well to provide support when we're doing the Black Wall Street movement. Those were the 4 new council individuals.
Excellent job, Dr. Little. And I hold Dr. Little in high esteem. She has really been working diligently, consistently, and we are very, very proud of you. So keep going, and we certainly welcome those 4 souls to leadership roles in the movement. And if you're a state director on, you just heard what she did, I need to hear you do the same, because God always sends people with gifts and talents. It's just that we must be in the spirit to receive them and see them in the spirit. Way to go, Black Wall Street, Texas. Call on the state director for Oklahoma, Sister Rahima Rahim. Sister Rahima?
Peace and blessings to everyone. I'd like to thank you, sir, and I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this spiritual movement and meet some of the wonderful people that I've met, like Dr. Janice Little, who just keeps on rolling, and is super excited all the time to make it happen, whatever. I just want to. We've kind of expanded our Trail of Tears project. Actually, we've divided it into 2 parts. The one part will be the Trail of Tears, Trail of Tears 2, we call it, Roman number 2, where we will be moving from Florida to Oklahoma to kind of revisit what our ancestors experienced on that trail. Just a smattering of it, not very much, because they some of them died on the trail. Some of them didn't have enough food, didn't have enough clothing. It was horrendous. But our children and even us, I think we've forgotten about the hard times. I think Dr. Carter was mentioning that too long ago about what our ancestors went through, and did better than we're doing right now. So we're going to and we've with Mr. Freeman, who is the Black Wall Street implementation strategist, I call it, who has introduced us to a lot of people in the Florida and Georgia area where we will be starting the trek across the country. We've just met a lot of people, and we're connecting with a lot of indigenous people. And we will also one of the classes that we plan to have when you get here is a genealogy workshop where you can check and see your ancestry, and if you have any people who were part of the Trail of Tears in your ancestry, and you never know, because a lot of them left and went back. A lot of them, when the massacre hit, a lot of them left and went back to places like North Carolina, and where they had learned how to lay bricks and all that good stuff in Alabama. And so we have the Trail of Tears, Part 1, and then once you get here and get all that, and then we have our movement involves the move to advance, enhance, and elevate. And so we're going to advance to North Tulsa. We're going to enhance our knowledge of our people and our environment. And we are going to elevate our families and our communities when we go back home with the wonderful knowledge that we have. So that's going to be the second part of the Black Wall Street observation in the last weekend in May. And that's where we call that the Trail of Cheers. When we get there, we will thank Allah for that, and then we will move forward in learning and enhancing our knowledge. And when we prepare to go back home, we will be prepared to do the will of God. So we have no idea. As you say, we never know the hour or the day, but if he gets us to, we're going to keep going like we've been going. They say live as though you're going to live one day, and live as though you're going to live forever, and live as though you're going to die tomorrow. So we have to be prepared. And if he lets us get back home, then that's when we will celebrate. And if he doesn't, we're just going to take the movement and move wherever he wants us to move. But we will plan to be prepared, because we're coming to learn how to do a lot of things just in case the grid goes down, and just in case something traumatic happens, and it's a lot that's going to be happening because the earth is sick because of what man has done to the earth. So we have to adjust to that. So thanks for letting me share. I just want to let everybody know it'll be the last weekend in May, and that's the Memorial Day weekend. It will be the last weekend in May, and in any way that you can participate, please connect with your state director, and they will guide you right along the way. I yield.
Also add about the survey. We want to try to get some data so that we can know how we can coordinate the tour and make it aligned with what the members are wanting from the experience.
Right. And tell them where it is, Dr. Little, please.
Well, I sent it to the web team for approval.
Well, it's been approved, and so family, go to blackwallstreet.org/Trail of Tears. And if you're on your desktop, it's going to be on the right-hand side. Just click it and take the survey. Or if you're on your phone, you have to scroll down well below the information and history of the Trail of Tears. But either way, it's there, and I encourage every single person on this call to go take the survey, whether you're going to participate or not, because it's and good job, Dr. Little. It's very detailed, and it allows you to contribute what you want to see, what you want to experience. So please take the survey. blackwallstreet.org/Trail of Tears.
And even if you can't make it, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Carter. Excuse me.
No, go ahead.
I mean, even if you cannot make it, take the survey and say, I will not be able to attend, but there's ways that you can participate, especially when it goes near your state or in your state. There are ways you can connect with the people in your state to make sure that they, well, if you're going to stop, would you see this? Or if you're doing a package, would you happen to mention this? This is relevant to the Trail of Tears. So you may have information that you can share with us, or there may be information that we can share with you. So just because you can't make it, we're going to have some virtual. We're going to have we're going to have the radio stations involved making announcements. We have filmmakers already interested in filming what we'll be doing on the trail and here in Tulsa. So please make your input. It's no more than $5. Make your input, verbally or financially. Thanks for letting me share that.
Indeed. And the controller for Black Wall Street USA has set up for funding to assist Sister Rahima, and that's through our Cash App. It's Cash App, you see now, /$ all these symbols, Greenwood, Tulsa. And that you must indicate in your donation Trail of Tears. And then Sister Rahima will have, whoever's going to be the financial person will have a weekly report sent to them and the committee or whoever Sister Rahima designates so that we can make this. So it is on you. Plan on participating. Everybody should be a solicitor of sponsorship for this. And I do know that Sister the Vice State Director of Texas will be meeting with Sister Rahima with her beautiful face on the video talking about this. So that's going to be very impactful so that she can tell the world what the plans are leading into. And May is right around the corner. I mean, for me as a leader, anything under a year is right around the corner. So
that's right.
Do your due diligence, family. Do your due diligence. I want to commend, before I bring on our next leader, Brother Melvin Brown. He gives me chills. He's taking on an awesome and huge project, and I want to commend the Texas team for allowing him to present his plans for a place called Friars Point, Mississippi. I'm telling you, when I went there in 2015, it's nothing like going outside in the evening just before the sunset. And, it's something about just before the sunset and the sun kissing off the faces of our melanated brothers and sisters. It just, that to me is the most beautiful time. Or in the morning, either one. But when we went there, the brothers and sisters, yeah?
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was trying to see if Brother Melvin was on the call, too. Because I know what you're talking about.
Well, no, I don't. Yeah. The brothers and sisters that day were outside. No violence. Nobody cussing. Now, there were people drinking. Don't get me twisted. Get it twisted, But when I walked out there, and I'm nobody. I'm not that important. But, when the word got around who I was, you could just tell the spirit changed in a good and in a more positive way. I mean, it wasn't negative. They were doing spoken word. Some kid would be rapping, and somebody else would sing. People were coming out their little businesses. Now, this is Friars Point. Look it up on your map. That was the most. Oh man, there are no adjectives to describe what I experienced. And I'm talking, anywhere from 500 to 800 people. This is not a wealthy community by no stretch, but expression was there. The spirit was there. And creativity was there. Food. Now, y'all know like Dr. Carter liked to eat. Food was there. All right? But what I didn't see, and I met a few leaders, but I didn't see elected officials or big-time pastors, but just a community. All ages, all different shades of melanation in Friars Point. So I think it was last week or the week before, Brother Brown, the Vice State Director of Mississippi, under the leadership of Sister Ethelene Mitchell, gave a presentation on the Texas Zoom. I hope y'all take a look at it. And he was going point by, because Dr. Little is, she liked to cross every T and dot every I, and then she go back to make sure she did it. So she went down the list of the pictures that was on his site, and she was asking, what's that? And he was telling her what they plan to do. So whenever you get a chance, go to blackwallstreet.org/Mississippi and read the vision for Friars Point. Okay. Brother Freeman, are you on?
Yes, sir.
This is Lawrence Freeman, everyone. He is the founder and president of Black Wall Street Augusta. Go to blackwallstreet.org/Augusta, and you will see the district area that he has carved out. And it's either tonight or next Monday, he will begin his own conference call where you get to meet the people in that district, businesses, leaders, and churches, and so forth. He's going to bring them all so they could talk about their business. And so Brother Freeman, and now he serves as the district implementation administrator for the Southeast region. That's 8 states under his watch. Anyone want to establish a district, they got to go through his office and the office of the respective state implementation director. So the way it's structured, there's the regional, the national district implementation director, that's me. Then there's the regional one, that's Brother Freeman and others in other regions. And then each state, just like Sister Little laid out, you're going to soon get her district implementation director. So you have covering if you want to establish a district. That is the mission of Black Wall Street. Now, I know a lot of people want to make the mission to fit them, but we don't allow that. We will always reiterate what our goal is, and that is to do what our ancestors did with less because we have more, and that's to establish districts in our community. Brother Freeman, please share with the people.
Yes, sir. Thank you, everyone. I bring you greetings from Augusta, Georgia, and I would like to thank Dr. Carter and the other hosts for allowing me the chance to talk. Well, I will start my calls because I just sent everything in just a few minutes ago, about 5 minutes, to the web team, to Dr. Carter, and Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That's when I'll be starting my calls. I'll be inviting leaders, store owners, children, entrepreneurs, adult entrepreneurs, because we got to train up the children now in the way they should go. Because I have a lot of kids want to know about the business. They be on the side of the street selling water. We got to get our babies off the side of the street, because why? We just had here 2 teenagers just got killed yesterday on the side of the road, shot, just trying to get their school shoes, clothes, whatever, trying to get their stuff together. And it's time to stop. It's time for us to try to get them in a safe environment. And yes, I will have the leaders of the cities and also business, and also the share what Mother Rahima and Dr. Little was saying about the Trail of Tears. we also ask you to please to join forces, because you are going to love it. You are going to find out things. I'm not going to tell you, but you're going to find out things that the different words that you had never thought, the nuggets. We found out some stuff last night. Make you say, wow, my. And also, we're going to have, like, pre-game, like, pre-stuff like Chief Nelson, where we'll be stopping in May 2nd, the second week of May, in South Carolina. They'll be having their powwows with the Trail of Tears, and they're going to announce us. He was announced nice enough. I'd never seen the gentleman before, but he was going to be nice enough to announce that we're going to be having Trail of Tears, so the other ancestors and their villages to be able to follow along. And we're going to have baseball games, because we got to get real. Remember the Sandlot baseball as the Field of Dreams? Sandlot baseball is another word for Negro League baseball team. And we will be having games here in Augusta, Georgia, and also, to finish it off, we will have it in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And also, I'm asking everyone to please support, please, your ancestors. I know half of y'all probably got tied up somewhere in your family or in your genes. So let's give back. Thank you very much.
Awesome, brother. And I also want to turn your attention, in addition to Brother Freeman's new call every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, another young lady that Brother Freeman nominated to the Southeast Regional Council is Sister Aziza. Help me with her last name, Brother Freeman. Ilyada. Sister Aziza Ilyada. So
Aziza Ilyada.
So on Wednesday, starting tomorrow, actually, 12 p.m. Eastern, she has the Reading Jamboree with Miss Lee. It's a Zoom. So if you have youngsters, and that's from ages 4 to 8 years old. That's the little people, Lord have mercy. And then they have ages 7 to 10 at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then the ages 10 and up, the preteen, teens, at 7 p.m. Eastern. These are all a new initiative actually it's a national initiative. We adopted it. And so these Zoom calls are specifically designed for our youth. And it strikes the imagination, it teaches them history, it gets them energized to read. So if you have little ones, and they're not doing nothing in those time frames, I would encourage you to set up your computer, let them participate in the Zoom. To gain more information on times and how to log on, go to blackwallstreet.org/Zoom, and you will be so impressed and so blessed to see this young couple, her and her husband, who are just awesome. Visit Adroit Comics, so that's ADROITCOMICS.com. Go check it out. Awesome initiative. This is what we want. And this all happened in a matter, Brother Freeman and others can bear witness. This only happened in a matter of minutes. I just asked if there's any way we can include something for our children, because of the fact that our content is so adult driven. We need something for our young people. So check that out, people. It is an awesome, awesome contribution to this movement. And on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. West Coast time, the Black Wall Street, California have their Zoom. Thursdays at 12 noon Central, Black Wall Street, Louisiana. Black Wall Street, Pennsylvania, 6:30 p.m. Eastern every Thursday. These are Thursday calls. We got the Florida call, 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, and you got the prayer hour, global prayer hour, with Elder Ernest Gardner, the Vice Director of our Men's Council, 9 p.m. Eastern. I encourage all of you, everybody needs prayer. Everyone needs prayer. You know if someone has a prayer life if they don't try to turn you into their sounding board for their problems. I take it all to God, every bit of it. If you ever catch Dr. Carter complaining or trying to use you as a set, you say, Dr. Carter, I got to go. I don't mind because I know better. I know better. And so Saturdays, the Texas Council, the great state of Texas, led by Dr. Little and Sister Reese, 9 a.m. Central. And then you got the African Council every Saturday, first Saturday at 11 a.m. And you got the Holistic Health. So we got a lot going on and more to be added. There's no excuse. Black Wall Street Fair. See, I know all of them. See, that's the thing right now. Leaders, because I don't know all the members of Black Wall Street. People join, I never meet them. Too many. But if you're a leader, I know you. So I want you guys to know each other. Sheep that are following God. But we start off the week, every week, with the Greenwood Weekly Oklahoma Zoom with the lady you heard earlier, Sister Rahima Rahim, State Director of Black Wall Street, Oklahoma. And I start on Mondays with this call right here. So I encourage all of you. In the Mississippi, it's every Tuesday at 8:30 Eastern in the POP movement. We got a lot of ways to communicate and build and commune and fellowship and build together. All right. Well, oh, wow. Okay, it was well over time. Are there any remarks, closing remarks, announcements? Oh, don't forget to go to the platforms and download, pay for the Greenwood Avenue Project. It's on everything now, and so there's no excuse. You need to have that in your library. Okay. Any closing remarks?
Yes, I have one closing remark.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. To piggyback off what Dr. Carter was saying about I'm calling her a doctor, she's going to get on to me. But Aziza and Akili, and they got five lovely daughters, and they all work together as a unit. Now, come on, everybody. Let's get behind this family. They have a Droid Comics. It's a black superhero comic book. You remember how you used to buy the kids or your children, the Superman, the Spider-Man, the Wonder Womans, and all that? Okay, let's get in. Okay, let's support the black superheroes that, the kids can read stuff that look like them. And I read the book. It's real good. And also, we're going to have a tour going around Georgia, Florida Drive, where we're going to be going from city to city, state to state, and border to borders, partnering with kids and the youth in the city and your libraries, because they already trying to take black books out of the libraries. Mm-hmm. And also, she's a certified teacher as well, and she done tutored students all over, and she homeschooled their children, and they're very excellent. And also, she tutored over in Japan and China. And so they are world organized. So just listen out for a Droid comment. We'll be in the city where you at. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, brother. Sister Rahima?
Dr. Carter, I also wanted to say Director Ethel Kane Russell will be starting her program, has promised to start her program tomorrow. She's been down for a while, and she's in Mississippi, and and she has the pop movement. So I guess Mr. Eric Brockman, who's running around promoting the pop movement, will be probably in your state. But please be ready for that call at 7:30 Central Time. And, of course, you can go to the Black Wall Street website for the time. But if you want your spirit lifted, just listen to Sister Ethel Kane Russell tomorrow at 7:30. Thanks, God willing.
Amen. All right. And I want to touch on this before I let you go. Please visit the Slavery Project. This is an ongoing project. It will never stop. There will always be information added and contributed by our young people, and they are committed to the project and dedicated to getting to answering these evil folk who are taking books out of libraries and off shelves. And we really shouldn't be getting mad at them because we know what they are. We need to teach our history. That's all that is, getting us up our behind and do what we know we should be doing. Why be reactive instead of proactive? So every day, if you want to really truly show God that you value and are appreciative of our ancestors, every single day, every one of you should devote some time to learning part of our history because you'll never know it all, you'll never learn it all. So devote 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. I can't write a sermon without touching on some part of our history. It's not legitimate if in fact I do otherwise. So take time, go there. Every state they dig into. They using not just AI, but they doing interviews and all kind of stuff, hitting up them white folk that they know that's white and old and guilty now. they going after it all, boy. I'm like, wow. They let me listen to an interview of a judge in Mississippi who was deliberately putting our brothers in prison and trying to act like it didn't have no connection to slavery. It does. And I mean, so blackwallstreet.org/slavery project. And if you want to support that project, send the Cash App in, Greenwood Tulsa, and specify the Slavery Project. And we ain't going to beg you because it's going to go on without money. We don't need your money. But if you see it as something that can elevate, and I mean the overwhelming response so far has been, I have interviews scheduled for it, and I haven't even touched the Slavery Project in years. This is a new revamp, upgrade. They doing it. So if we could come up with stuff as to how, companies and universities in Idaho, that wasn't a slave state, but guess what? When they moved west, that took that money they earned from slavery to establish them cities and towns in Idaho and Montana and other places. So every state, even Hawaii, Alaska, every state was touched, whether directly or indirectly, by the institution of slavery. So wake up. Please wake up. Open your eyes. We will not be denied that information. And by the way, your president signed an executive order to manipulate AI so it won't have what's called a woke tone. Now, I'm going to just tell you right now, 90%, 95% of the executive orders that Donald Trump has signed, they're not law, okay? And they can be denied and contested. If Dailey on here, he can tell you how that happens. So just because he signed an executive order for the HBCU, but it has no money attached to it. So just because he signed an executive order, he signed more executive orders in the first 100 days of his presidency than any president in the history of this country. No other president has signed this many executive orders. Go in the White House. Go read it. Well, see, what you're witnessing is an 8-year-old little boy that is arrested, encapsulated, confined and constricted to an 80-year-old body. He's like a little boy. The White House office is his. They don't call it the White House. They refer to Donald Trump as the owners. That's how they refer to him there. But that's the mentality of a grown body that's still stuck in boyhood. So he signed all these different executive orders, but none of them had no teeth. So, but you need to go read them, educate yourself, and see the mindset of the type of demonic spirit that we're dealing with. All right. Let's see. Any more questions? We're going to close out with prayer. Let me see who I'm going to call. Prayers out of here. Don't get off now. I see who on here, so don't get off. You know what, Sister Rahima, would you pray us out? Did Brother Dailey, I think Brother Dailey got off. No, he's still there. Brother Dailey, you got any closing remarks, brother?
Yes, sir. He's always ready for closing remarks. And we're ready to listen.
You guys are so funny.
I think you most.
No, I'm here. Y'all funny. No, I'm always listening, and I'm excited. We need to stay in communication. We need to all stay in communication. That would just be my major thing. If you're listening and you say, hey, why am I listening to this? Why am I still on this call? I think you're on because you know that the conversation we're having, it needs to be had. And we're going to have to continue it. Even if we have to wait a few weeks, we're going to continue having it. So thank you, Dr. Carter. Thank you, Mr. Brother Freeman and Dr. Little and Sister Rahima. That's all I got. Brother Dr. Carter, you can pray us out. I'm good.
Well, I'm going to let Brother Rahima pray us out today. Sister Rahima, the matriarch.
I can't pass this on to a brother. They're the head of the house.
All right. Well, let's see here.
Brother
okay,
Freeman.
I'll go ahead and. Oh yeah, Brother Freeman, pray us out, Doc.
All hearts and minds are clear.
Indeed.
Dear gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for waking us up this morning, starting us on our way, God. We thank you, God, for bringing us through in and out our day operation, Father God, that you gave us. Lord God, right now we ask, God, you heard all the requests that went up. God, you heard all the steps that went up that we're doing, that your kingdom is doing. And Father God, we asking you to bless right now. Touch each and every person on this here line, executive board, director, event coordinators, whatever their job is, pastors, Lord, whatever they put out, Father God, Lord, we asking you to put back in them. Because, God, we have not because we ask not. Lord, we asking you to send us your workers. Send us your team who you have to work in your vineyard. Because, God, we working in your vineyard to save your children, to save your people. And, God, we asking you to touch banking accounts, wealth. Lord, you said in your word you are our shepherd, and we shouldn't have to want for nothing. Lord, open up that Swiss account. Send us the rams in the bush. Send us who you want us to have in our life, in our cabinet. Not our, but yours. Because we can't do nothing without you. And God, we asking you to touch each and every household and every family. And God, as the kids go off to college and go off to school, Lord, we asking you to protect them right now in the name of Jesus. No shootings, nothing goes, no fiery darts shall come towards them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Some African-American communities are prospering, like the residents of Greenwood, a suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here, former slaves were given land after the Civil War, and this rare footage shows the thriving town they built. A remarkable Baptist pastor named Solomon Sir Jones is the pioneering filmmaker. His footage was lost for more than 50 years. Jones captures the bustling life of Greenwood, which could be any American small town. But Tulsa's whites don't like what they see. In May 1921, after a black man is accused of assaulting a white woman, a white mob rampages through the city. For a night and a day, they loot and burn Greenwood. A Fox News crew captures the only surviving footage. It is the bloodiest racial massacre in American history, leaving nearly 300 dead.